Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Try again, shall we? Thank you, Will. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, thank you. I'd just like to start this presentation with a video. The video you can see here. This is a video of a practice lap, a qualifying lap at the Nürburgring 24-hour race. This took part in Germany just 2 weeks ago. And the reason that I'm showing it is that I was there. And while I was there, I was contemplating what should I talk about at a climate conference. And for those of you who are not aware, the Nürburgring is in the Eifel Mountains. It's a very famous motor racing circuit. It is the circuit where Niki Lauda had his famous crash, which, well, it's famous for us, but a very difficult crash for him to endure. And at the Nürburgring, it's in the Eifel Mountains, as I said. It's a twisting track. It goes through lots of trees. There are trees everywhere. It's very green. And I looked around me and I thought, there are not too many people here in the campsites, in the pits, driving the cars, who were probably thinking about the environment. They were thinking about motor racing. And the only time they did start to think about the environment was when it started raining, and it rained for quite a number of hours during the race. So I was kind of in a mixture here of enjoying this motor race, but also watching two of our cars in the motor race and hoping that they would finish for the 24 hours and thinking, climate, climate. I thought about how did I get to the race. Of course, if you want to drive from the UK to Germany, you could probably take a Qashqai. Well, I would anyway. A Qashqai has got about 12 gallons of fuel in it. It does about 45 miles per gallon. The drive takes about 8 or 9 hours, and by that time you will have emptied that fuel tank. Then you look at these racing cars. That racing car that you saw there was a Nissan GTR, Nismo GT3 spec. It's got a 20-gallon fuel tank. And when it's racing as it was there, then it's capable of emptying that tank in 1 hour. And there are 180 cars qualified for that 24-hour race. So I'll let you do the maths about how much fuel was consumed. Jackie Stewart christened the Nürburgring as the Green Hell. He was talking about the twisting road going through the trees with no runoff area. But it's kind of an ironic phrase when you think about what was going on there 2 weeks ago. But it doesn't just happen in the Nürburgring. Just last weekend, I'm sure some of you will have enjoyed the Formula One Grand Prix at Monaco. And Renault and Infiniti are involved in this Formula One show. We supply engines to 4 of the teams, Caterham, Lotus, Williams and Infiniti Red Bull. And these engines consume 165 kilograms of fuel an hour. That's how we measure it in Formula One. But in your language, that roughly translates to about 4 miles per gallon. So you're probably thinking at this time in the conference, what is Jerry doing here? Because he spends his weekends consuming all of this gasoline, all of this fuel. And perhaps he's made a mistake, and this is not, he thinks it's the auto sport conference in January. Well, I haven't. It is the climate conference, I know that. And why am I talking about this? Well, with motorsport, why do we do it? Well, we do it because it's fun. We do it because our customers enjoy it, and we do it because, as a motor company, it's absolutely essential to build our brand credibility. But there's another reason that we do it. We do it because it advances technology. In any particular motor racing series, the fastest car is almost certainly the most efficient. It might not be the most efficient in the world, but it will be the most efficient in that series. So we're learning all the time on the track, and we bring that technology and that knowledge to our road cars. So the Qashqai that I was talking about, that you could empty the tank in about 8 hours of driving, in CO2 terms, which you are often debating, I'm sure, is doing about 119 grams per kilometre of CO2 emissions, which is a good score. It allows it to have some quite favourable tax breaks for the kind of car that it is. But Renault-Nissan Alliance make even more efficient cars, so we've also got the Micra and the Clio, and their CO2 emissions are about 100 grams per kilometre. And we're continually trying to drive down the CO2 emissions of our cars. The government has set us some quite strict targets, not Renault-Nissan, but everybody. They announced that they wanted to reduce CO2 emissions by 80% by 2050. No news for you there, I'm sure. And in order to do that, we could continue to try to improve the internal combustion engine. But that won't achieve an 80% reduction. However good the engineers are, there are some physics reasons why you cannot do it. So we will introduce ever-increasing levels of hybridization. So you've heard of hybrid electric cars, but these are cars with an internal combustion engine joined together with either electric motor or battery, either for stop-start technology or for some electric driving. And this will also help us to drive down the CO2 emissions, and we should do it, and we will do it. But if we want to get anywhere near this 80% reduction, then we have to introduce zero-emission vehicles into our fleets. And zero emission basically means electric vehicle running on sustainably generated electricity. And this is where Nissan and Renault, the Renault-Nissan Alliance, is at the leadership of this technology. So Renault-Nissan have invested 4 billion euros in developing the necessary technology. The necessary technology is the electric motor technology, the battery technology, the inverter technology, the charging technology. And we've now started to launch electric vehicles, as you know. We've launched the Leaf, which is a 5-door family sedan. This is a full electric vehicle. You can buy it now, and we've sold over 50,000 of these vehicles worldwide. And we've also, through Renault, introduced some city cars, so the Zoe and the Twizy. And you can see examples of Leaf, Zoe and Twizy outside in the hallway and outside the door there, so you can take a closer look. But we're also bringing an electric vehicle to the premium segment, and we will bring an electric vehicle as an Infinity brand. And we also have light commercial vehicles. We've got the Kangoo electric and also the electric NV200. So these are products in the market. And the question to all of you is, you probably were scoffing at that motorsport behaviour, consuming all of this gasoline. But have you made the step? Have you made the change? Personally or as a business, have you adopted an electric vehicle? Are you doing your bit for zero emissions? We've brought them to the market. Now, as a leader bringing things to the market, you're the first to meet all of the barriers. You're the first to meet all of the resistance. And when we bring electric vehicles to the market before everybody else, the first barrier of resistance, unfortunately, is our customers. Now, it's easy to convince the eco-warriors. They will buy the car. There's no problem. But it's not the eco-warriors that we're really trying to change the behaviour here, it's everybody else. So how do we convince them to buy electric vehicles? The most important way, or the clearest way, is to get them to drive an electric vehicle and experience it. And so over the last couple of years, I've had quite some experience in taking electric vehicles to customers or to journalists. And when we first started doing it, we would sit the journalist or the customer in the car, we'd show them how it operated. It's actually rather easy to operate, and they would drive off on a test circuit and come back. And when they got out of the car, the first thing that most people would come and say to me is, "This feels like a real car." And at first I thought, this is a really good compliment. But then I started to think about it, and I started to listen to their feedback. And actually, in some respects, the electric car is better than a normal car. For a start, it's quieter. It's much quieter. You can charge it at home. If you're clever about how you charge it at home and work, you never have to go to a petrol station ever again. And some of us might find that that is actually a good thing. But also electric cars are fun to drive. People are surprised by this, but they shouldn't be, because the engineering tells you it should be fun to drive. An electric motor delivers all of its torque immediately from 0 revs. So the cars take off quite quickly. It surprises most drivers. We have a battery in the car. The batteries are heavy. Yep, that's one of our challenges as engineers. But when we place the battery low in the car between the axles, it actually gives the car a very good centre of gravity. And then the dynamic performance of the car when you're driving it is very good. So that's why people actually like the cars when they drive them. Of course, we still do have some issues. There's the cost of the cars. And we have a challenge to bring down the cost. But when you're leaders, of course, you bring the car at a price that you can just about break even. And then you work on how to bring the cost down so that you can start to make a profit. And in terms of range, we want to improve the performance of the motors and the batteries and all of the other technology that is in the cars. So guess what? Guess where we turn to when we want to develop this technology and accelerate the technology? We go back to motorsport. Motorsport is actually a good place. And I said that, you know, this Formula 1 car was doing 4 miles per gallon. Well, next season it will do a better than 4 miles per gallon. The rules will be changed. The FIA, the governing body, will reduce the amount of fuel that is allowed to be used in a Formula 1 car, but they will increase the amount of energy that can be recovered and used. It's called Kinetic Energy Recovery System this year. Next year it's going to be called Energy Recovery System. But if they had a marketing man working for them, they would have called it hybrid, because that's what it is. It's a hybrid system. They're putting hybrid systems onto Formula 1. So Renault is busily developing the new engine for that series, where we will learn even more about battery technology, electric technology, motor technology. And possibly even more importantly than the improvements in Formula 1 is we will introduce this car. So the FIA, the responsible for motorsport, they want to develop sustainable forms of motorsport. And they're introducing Formula E. And this is an electric vehicle racing formula. So the cars will all be running with electric motors, and they're going to bring these cars into the cities. There's two reasons to that. One is to attract new customers, but the second is it will force the development of the infrastructure. The charging infrastructure for these cars will have to be developed. The councillors and the people who are excited by these cars will have to understand more about electric vehicle technology in order to have the race in their city. And they've announced that there will be races already, I believe, in Rio and Rome, and I know that London is trying to bring one of these races into London as well in 2014 or 15. It's not my decision. I'll leave that to Boris and his friends. So I would like you to think that electric cars are the future, and they have a future in terms of being fun to drive. And I would like to leave you with a final video, which is of a car called the Nismo Leaf RC racing car. This is a demonstration electric race car that we've produced at Nissan, so I can't show you a video of Formula E yet because it hasn't happened. But we've built 8 of these cars. This is a full carbon fibre chassis racing car, and we've put in it the Nissan Leaf powertrain. And we've created basically a sports car, a racing car. And this car is now doing the rounds. There are 8 of them in the world, demonstrating what an electric car can do and how exciting an electric car can be. And we've taken it to such events as the Le Mans 24 Hours race, which is full of petrol heads. There are not too many eco-warriors there, but the petrol heads are seeing this car. We will also take it to the Goodwood Festival, we did take it to the Goodwood Festival Speed and other events to try and convince our customers that there is a future for the electric car. So I'd like to leave you with a message that we need to have the courage to lead, and the Renault-Nissan Alliance is doing that, but we also have to have the belief that we can change people's behaviour. Thank you.